What kind of person trains to hold their breath for 11 minutes? Not for performance, not for fame, but for control, for mental dominance, for mastery of fear. Holding your breath isn't just a physical act, it's a confrontation with death, and more importantly, with the voice in your head that tells you to quit. And in that battle, the best don't just survive, they thrive. This isn't about breath holding, it's about becoming unshakable. Most people start panicking after just 30 seconds without air. But not because they're out of oxygen. It's carbon dioxide that builds up, triggering that desperate urge to breathe. Your oxygen levels are still fine, but your brain doesn't care. It was built for survival, not performance. Freedivers, SEALs, and mental warriors all train this one thing: how to stay calm when the body screams, how to recognize the difference between a signal and a command. The average mind obeys every signal. The trained mind pauses, observes, and chooses. This isn't about breath holding, it's about becoming unshakable. David Blaine, the illusionist, once held his breath for 17 minutes. Not with trickery, with training. He spent months preparing his body and mind, meditation, CO2 and O2 tolerance tables, long breath holds underwater, pushing past discomfort 1 second at a time. But the key wasn't his lungs, it was his mind. He said the hardest part came after minute 8. That's when your entire body turns on you, when panic becomes deafening. That's when he started repeating a single phrase: I am not dying, I am choosing. It's in that moment that the trained gain an edge over everyone else. They stop reacting, they start deciding. Stig Severinsen, a Danish freediver, once held his breath for 22 minutes. Let that sink in. This wasn't magic, it was mastery. Stig spent years studying both human physiology and yogic breathing. He combined science with ancient stillness. Every day he would train breath holds after exhalation, the hardest way. Why? Because that's where the discomfort lives. He trained in cold water, in darkness, in silence. He wasn't just building lung capacity, he was learning to sit with fear, with silence, with the unknown. Stig believed this. The man who can sit calmly inside a storm can survive anything. Why do the world's best hold their breath for 11 minutes? Because somewhere between the 3rd and 10th minute, something inside you breaks. The part of you that panics, that begs, that wants comfort, it cracks. And in that crack, you find something new. Silence. Stillness. A version of you that doesn't need comfort to stay calm, that doesn't need reassurance to move forward. This is not just mental toughness, this is spiritual endurance. And it comes through one door: pain. And here's something no one talks about. Pain is a mirror. When you hold your breath for that long, every second of agony shows you who you are. The parts that want to give up. The stories you tell yourself. But if you sit with it long enough, something beautiful happens. You stop listening to the stories. You just exist. You become. And you begin to realize something. Pain isn't the enemy. Panic is. And panic is just your body trying to negotiate with discomfort. When you stop negotiating, you start evolving. Guillaume Néry is a French freediver who once dove 126 meters into the ocean on a single breath. His heart rate dropped to 30 beats per minute. His body was crushed by pressure, but his mind, still. He once said, "When I dive deep, it's not to escape the world, it's to confront myself." His training wasn't just about apnea tables and lung stretching, it was about eliminating noise from the mind. He practiced yoga, mindfulness, cold therapy, anything that could train him to stay still when the world was anything but. Because at 100 meters down, panic is death. Only calm survives. He visualized every dive, not once but hundreds of times. He trained his mind to treat silence like an ally, not an enemy. That's the level of intention we avoid in daily life. We distract ourselves, we escape. But he leaned in. He made stillness his teacher. It's easy to appear strong in moments of control, but true strength is tested when everything inside you wants out. When your mind screams and your only answer is stillness. And this isn't just about diving. Guillaume's story reminds us that when we strip everything away, comfort, sound, stimulation, we meet the truth of ourselves. And that truth is either our greatest ally or our biggest obstacle. Navy SEALs say this: when your mind says you're done, you're only at 40%. The breath hold proves that. Minute 1, discomfort. Minute 3, urge to quit. Minute 5, panic. Minute 7, ego death. Minute 9, silence. Minute 11, transformation. Every minute beyond your limit is a minute spent rewriting who you are. It's not about becoming superhuman. It's about discovering how much human potential we never access. And here's the truth. Most people never find out what they're capable of because they never stay long enough in discomfort to find out. The breath hold is a metaphor. If you can survive 11 minutes without oxygen, you can survive the tough conversation, the failed project, the heartbreak, the loneliness. Because pain doesn't define you. How you face it does. Growth lives on the other side of stillness. Not motion, not reaction. Stillness. You might never dive 100 meters or hold your breath for 11 minutes. But life will put you in situations where you can't breathe. Deadlines, breakups, grief, pressure. In those moments, will you react or will you pause? That's what this training is for. Not just breath, but presence. To stay centered while the world screams. To respond, not react. To master the pause between impulse and action. When everyone else rushes to speak, to move, to escape, you stay. You hold. And in doing so, you become unshakable. Stillness is a lost art. But the ones who master it don't just survive chaos. They move through it like they created it. Because calm isn't weakness, it's control. The best hold their breath not because they love suffering, but because suffering reveals who you really are. In the quiet, in the pressure, in the urge to escape. They don't run, they don't panic. They hold. Because in that pause, they find the one thing most people never touch. Power over self. And if you can control your breath, you can control your life. So maybe the question isn't why 11 minutes? Maybe it's why not start with one?